In the frost-bitten dawn of South Minneapolis, where the veil between law and anarchy thins like morning mist, the spirit of 37-year-old Alex Pretti, an intensive care nurse who once cradled the dying at the VA hospital, was violently torn from his mortal form on that fateful Saturday morning, January 24, 2026. What began as a peaceful act of witness, phone in hand, to capture the iron grip of federal immigration enforcement, spiraled into a nightmare of pepper spray, punches, and a hail of bullets that echoed through the streets like vengeful thunder. Eyewitness videos, now spectral evidence circulating in the digital underworld, paint a harrowing timeline that defies the official shroud of justification. At 8:58 a.m., Pretti stood on Nicollet Avenue, his cell phone raised like a lantern in the dark, recording federal agents as they detained suspects amid President Trump's aggressive deportation crackdown, the second deadly clash in mere weeks. By 8:59, as honks and whistles pierced the air, agents approached, shoving civilians into the fray. Pretti, undeterred, lifted his phone again, only to be pushed toward the sidewalk at 9:00. Chaos erupted. An officer pepper-sprayed Pretti and two others at 9:50, sending him stumbling into the street. Pulled by his hood, he was swarmed by 5 agents in a brutal scrum. Punches rained down at 9:01:11, a handgun drawn seconds later. Critically, at 9:01:13, an officer in gray extracted a 9mm Sig Sauer from Pretti's waistband, emerging from the pile holding the weapon high, declaring, "I got the gun." Yet, with Pretti disarmed and pinned, the first shot cracked at 9:01:14, followed by 3 more in a second, and 6 additional rounds by 9:01:19, 10 bullets in under 5 seconds, forensic audio confirms. Many striking his back as he went limp. Screams of police brutality filled the air. A doctor on scene noting wounds to his chest, neck, and back. Pretti, who grew up in Green Bay and was remembered by family as a kind-hearted soul, driven by care for others, lay still by 9:02, his blood staining the pavement like an accusation from the grave. Neighbors decried the official narrative as a lie, insisting Pretti posed no threat. His protest against immigration agents' presence born of compassion, not violence. This was no mere scuffle, it was a descent into pandemonium, where federal might clashed with civilian resolve, leaving a city haunted by the ghosts of unchecked power. As protests ignited like funeral pyres across Minneapolis, drawing bipartisan calls for investigation and a judge's ear to Minnesota's pleas against the federal incursion, the Trump administration's voice rose from the shadows, a mix of defiance and calculated retreat. President Donald Trump, in a Wall Street Journal interview, broke his silence on the Pretti shooting, declaring, "We're looking, we're reviewing everything, and will come out with a determination." Twice pressed on whether the Border Patrol agent acted appropriately, he sidestepped, instead lamenting, "I don't like any shooting. I don't like it. But I don't like it when somebody goes into a protest and he's got a very powerful, fully loaded gun with 2 magazines loaded up with bullets also. That doesn't play good either." Trump branded Pretti's firearm, a 9mm semi-automatic, as a very dangerous gun, a dangerous and unpredictable gun. It's a gun that goes off when people don't know it. Echoing administration posts on X showing the weapon with captions implying lethal intent, though videos reveal only 1 loaded magazine. On X, Trump himself amplified the narrative, posting a photo of the handgun loaded with 2 additional full magazines and questioning why local police failed to protect ICE agents. While his press secretary proclaimed unwavering support, President Trump and his entire administration stand fully behind the heroic men and women of ICE and will always uphold law and order. The deadly incident occurred as a result of a larger, sinister, left-wing movement. Signaling a potential withdrawal amid political fallout, Trump stated, "At some point, we will leave. They've done a phenomenal job," praising the crackdown on what he called Minnesota's welfare fraud scandal, the biggest fraud anyone has seen, and vowing to leave a different group for financial probes. The administration rushed to control the story, with DHS Secretary Kristi Noem claiming, Pretti approached with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, attacked officers, and arrived to inflict maximum damage and kill law enforcement. While Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller labeled him a would-be assassin. Sending hardliner Tom Homan to Minnesota, Trump voiced disapproval of the shooting in reports, issuing an ultimatum to immigrants, yet defended the tactics, blaming Democrats for the unrest. He defended the tactics, blaming Democrats for the unrest. These pronouncements, laced with accusation and evasion, hang like a pall over the nation, where the dead demand transparency, but power whispers excuses. As an analyst delving into the abyss of this tragedy, the spectral threads unravel into three intertwined horrors: the glaring contradictions in evidence, the boiling cauldron of public outrage, and the broader implications for a nation fractured by immigration wars. First, the videos, unforgiving phantoms of truth, shatter the administration's fortress of claims. Officials insisted Pretti brandished his gun, violently resisted disarmament, and posed an imminent threat to massacre law enforcement. Yet footage reveals him wielding only his cell phone, peacefully recording until assaulted. The gun was removed before the shots. Shouts of "gun, gun" preceded an officer safely extracting it, only for bullets to follow into a disarmed, prone man. Use of force experts like Seth Stoughton decry this. In gun-saturated America, mere possession isn't justification, especially in open-carry Minnesota. Forensic analysis exposes the frenzy. No tactical control, a free-for-all scrum, and shots to the back, contradicting self-defense narratives. The administration's premature social media convictions, posting weapon photos as evidence before investigations, reek of narrative control, potentially tainting the crime scene by removing the gun. Second, the protests swell like restless spirits, a makeshift memorial blooming at the site as Minneapolis reels, echoing the unrest of George Floyd's era. Bipartisan fury mounts. Republicans join Democrats in demanding deeper probes, while state officials clash with feds over the crackdown's overreach. Pretti's family and friends mourn a care for others hero, his neighbor telling CNN the official story is fabricated. This second fatal shooting in weeks amplifies calls for withdrawal, with Trump's "at some point" pledge seen by some as capitulation, by others as deflection amid political liability. Finally, the implications loom eternal. This incident unmasks the perils of aggressive enforcement in sanctuary cities, where federal agents, uninvited, ignite volatility. Trump's review promises answers, but history whispers of buried truths. Advisors debate optics, with hardliners like Miller pushing forward, while others fear backlash eroding support for deportations. In a divided America, Pretti's ghost questions justice. Was this defense or execution? As videos multiply and unrest festers, the nation teeters on the edge, haunted by power's dark underbelly. The fallen nurse's spirit lingers, demanding not vengeance, but revelation. January 26, 2026, grips Minneapolis in an iron frost, yet the city's pulse races hotter than ever. In the sterile glow of U.S. District Court, Judge Eric Tostrad presides over dueling hearings that could shackle or unleash the federal immigration machine. Minnesota's lawsuit, bolstered by the temporary restraining order already in place, demands preservation of all evidence from Alex Pretti's killing: body cam footage, unprocessed crime scene materials, and witness statements. State attorneys argue the crackdown was an uninvited federal incursion, escalating to lethal force. Federal defenders counter that operations target massive welfare fraud, insisting agents acted to protect themselves from a would-be assassin. Meanwhile, the president's response materializes in motion. Border czar Tom Homan is en route to Minnesota tonight to report directly. The administration digs in, maintaining Pretti approached with intent to kill, even as videos mount evidence to the contrary. Pro-Trump voices online flood the ether with AI-generated distortions and mislabeled images, muddying the waters in a digital fog of war. On the streets, protests swell despite the sub-zero bite. Vigils at the memorial site now include VA nurses in powder blue scrubs, holding candles that defy the wind, chanting Pretti's name as a litany for the fallen healer. Family and friends denounce the sickening lies. Eyewitnesses file affidavits stating Pretti intervened to shield a shoved woman, phone raised in documentation, not threat. Major outlets amplify the rift with visual analysis. This second citizen death fuels bipartisan unease. Republicans fear backlash erodes support, while Democrats seize the moment to push reforms. As the plane descends and the gavel falls, Minneapolis teeters. The ghosts multiply, their whispers demanding reckoning. Part 7. Advanced Analysis. 3 layers of emerging truths and dangers. Layer 1. The video veil, torn. Forensic dissection of footage exposes a sequence defying official framing. Synchronized clips reveal Pretti filming, intervening protectively, then being tackled and disarmed before shots were fired. Audio forensics count 10 rounds in rapid succession, while agents had control. Use of force standards fracture here. Lethal fire, post-disarmament demands imminent danger, absent in the visuals. Layer 2. Political fault lines. The dispatch of hardliners signals control, yet the leave phrasing betrays vulnerability. Pretti, a citizen nurse, humanizes fallout, forcing scrutiny of tactics in urban sanctuaries. Homan's arrival risks escalation or de-escalation, but either path tests sustainability. Disinformation surges, turning public discourse into a haunted battlefield where facts battle fabrication. Layer 3. Systemic hauntings. This tragedy unmasks deeper perils. Federal operations without local buy-in breed volatility. Pretti's killing challenges doctrines in armed America. When does possession become threat? Broader implications echo. Erosion of trust, potential for unrest. The nation confronts a crossroads. Independent commission, reforms, or doubled-down force risking more ghosts. Pretti's spirit warns. Power unchecked devours its own. In the frozen dark, Minneapolis holds its breath. Will light pierce the shadows, or will winter claim more souls?